love the film. I was mentioning to them just now that like I especially loved it because I had around the time the film starts, I actually was graduating film school at NYU, so that environment of New York rang very true to me, and I love musicals. And I just thought the story was great, the music was great, the acting was great. How did you get involved in this project to begin with?
Gosh, you know what? I never know. I can never remember. I don't know how I got involved. That was a while ago. I don't know. I'm a lover of all things indie film, and I
Mhm.
find that there's a lot of magic that happens on indie film. That well, hopefully, I mean, the goal is to have magic happen anywhere and everywhere. Like
Yeah.
that's our goal for the day. But on indie films, I sometimes find that because it's low budget, you know, a real family dynamic develops and something comes out of that that's really I cherish a lot in my heart. And so I'm just an indie film junkie. I'm addicted to indie films, to making indie films. And I people find me. I don't even know, like I can't begin to kind of even tell you how people find me. I think I work with somebody's friend, and then I work with their 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 friend. And then the word gets out that I do indie film. And then it's like, I'm just like, wow, okay, I gotta go do some TV because I gotta pay for all this indie
Well,
film.
yeah, because you do both, and so you like do Indian. So the way I'd expect the other section, like Stranger Things, which is giant. So I love that you still like do the indie stuff. But I was just talking about one of the things I love about New York is that spirit of indie film and people getting things done, and just they're like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. There's like just I also love
100%.
indie film. And
That I'm a native New Yorker also, and I completely agree with you. I think the indie film scene here is really strong. I mean,
it
I just
absolutely
shot this past year, I shot two indie films in LA, and in both cases, I was like, wait, is this New York? Because like I am getting a much different vibe here than I used to get from
yeah,
LA. And
absolutely.
this is completely different to me. And I feel like maybe we don't have the monopoly on that anymore, but I do think in so many ways there's so much going on in the indie film scene in New York, and the indie film scene in New York is important to New York. I
It
have
is
a
part of
film
it.
playing it. Yeah, I have a film playing at IFC right now, 18 and a half on it's a water great frivolity thriller thing. It was fabulous, but go see it. But
I will.
when I was there for the audience, what I learned from that, listening to that audience, was that there are people that go to the IFC. Like people came, they'd never heard of the film. They were just like, well,
Oh
we go
yeah.
to the IFC, and so I think that there's a sense with New Yorkers, with the community of people who come to New York, that they want the indie film scene. And Triple Threat really falls into that. Like my favorite scene, and I've said this time and again in this entire movie, my favorite scene is the scene on the rooftop. Because I mean, and I think as another native New Yorker,
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, because
absolutely. There's
I've spent so many provocative,
absolutely.
existentially powerful moments on rooftops throughout my life with friends. You sit there and you sit next to somebody and you cuddle up next to them, and then you have this thought, and then you see
Absolutely.
something and you think, and then you're inside with them, and then you're back outside with them, and then you have another thought. And there are moments that have changed me on those New York City rooftops,
I love that.
and I just love that. I love that in this film. Like that to me was so provocative of the transitional moments. Like I couldn't think of a more perfect way to create a bookend for this journey.
You're right. I love what you just said, and it's so right because it's such a like a specific thing and a magical thing to specific to New York. Uh,
Specific to New York, specific to
Specifically,
us, specific to the way we
absolutely,
grew up.
absolutely. I mean, there's like so many different. That's what the thing I love about New York. I feel like no matter who you are, where you come from, there's always this like in this film, like you play a very like a well known producer, like the big shots, but
Yeah.
and it New York too. Like there's you could go any. It doesn't matter like if you could be that like what you're doing, and all of a sudden you might end up in at a table with, somebody that could, it's
Yeah.
just like that. There's kind of more of, I don't know, it's like more of a, I guess, a leveling field. Is it that,
It is like you'll go to a party and
yeah,
there'll be billionaires, like
yeah,
billionaires,
yeah,
and then there'll be paupers. There'll be
yeah,
your artist paupers, and everybody's just hanging out and having conversations because that's what New York cherishes. That's why
absolutely,
we're here. We're here because of the human engine. We are
absolutely.
believers in the human engine on some very like, why else would we all live in these little apartments, in our,
Absolutely.
our little moles, I don't know. I felt like for me, this film really captured that part of New York that I love so much, and the people of New York that I love so much, and the things that New Yorkers do, and making a musical, and and meeting people like the character I played, who was like, you know, I I started going to the theater really, when I could sit still. My family
Yeah.
loved theaters, and I don't do theater anymore, but I did it for 20 years, and I met her. I met that producer that I played.
Yeah.
I was simply channeling some people I've met, and I was
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
yeah, this is New York.
that
We're in New
character
York
so rings
now.
so true. That's definitely like, that's just like such a truthful character to me, that like, absolutely. And
Yeah.
what I liked about the film too is there was no like bad guys in the film at all. Just different things happening, and like nobody's out to hurt anyone, but like sometimes something, somebody, things have to happen, and things happen for a reason at the end of the day. But it's not anyone's wrong or right in these situations.
No, no, it's confusion
Yeah.
and compromise and trying to create options for oneself and trying to gain one's own personal power and stand by convictions and
Yeah.
and do the right thing for yourself and other people. And I think that very much characterizes to me the millennial generation, because
Yeah.
you're really stuck. You're stuck between all of the hard stuff that you have been left with, and the
Absolutely.
generation that is underneath you, that it's experiencing such a really different way of being in the
So different.
world. And
Completely.
it's so fascinating to me, and I hope that this film really leads the charge in part of the conversation that is the millennial sense of justice, and the millennial responsibility, the millennial duty to the world, that um I feel like your generation has so much that we are relying on,
Yeah.
just to make the options open, just to
Absolutely.
gather back, you know, a fearless world.
I love that you just said a fearless world, because that's definitely what we need, I think, now more than
Yeah,
ever. And I
yeah,
even look at, I have a niece that's 9 and a nephew that's 6, and just not, like their way, it's completely foreign to how I grew up. It's interesting but strange and scary to be a little bit. But I love too that there was this heart and warmth and a sense of community in this film, which I think is, missing just in general today, which
yeah,
really worries me. Like that's the thing that worries me the most, is just isolation, and people growing with not this community around them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
love that it celebrates that element as
Yeah, and
well.
and and that will resonate with people. Like
Yeah,
like it will remind people, like it'll tell people, "Oh, I like that. I like this feeling. Let me find this feeling in my life." I truly believe in the power of art to
oh, me too,
create
absolutely.
change in big and little ways. And I think that this film is it's having so many conversations that you
Yeah.
don't expect, that it's a change making film.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no. Yeah, I need to I need to wrap it up, because I think I know you're like, you've been interviewing all the time, but this was such a joy to talk to you, and this was such like a pleasant surprise, this film, and I enjoyed it so much. And the music was just great in it.
Oh
It's
yeah, the music is fabulous.
incredible. Like it completely is. If you would have told me this is like a brand new Broadway musical, I'd be like, oh, this is rad. I
I
want to see
know,
this
let's go
musical.
see it. I know,
Yeah.
I know. Maybe that musical is really gonna happen and we
I
can
would
go
love to
see
see it
it.
now, because the songs are in my head. They're really catchy.
I know. It's so cool. It's so good. Like these songs they're gonna play at graduations in like 20
Absolutely.
years. Like
Absolutely.
these songs are gonna become part of the resonance of our culture, you
I love
know.
them. And I thought, wait, I loved so much that they were fearless in doing that, because what an endeavor, like on paper, someone was like, you're going to do the indie movie, but now you're going to also
Yeah.
create not one song, but multiple original and
I know.
dances to them. And I'm so glad that they were fearless in doing it and everyone came together and did it, because it's so, I love it. I think it just has such heart to it.
Yeah, the filmmakers are boss.
Yeah,
These three people are like, I'm like, okay, whoa, you are boss. I'm like, I'm fascinated, and you're my heroes, and I'm you know, and I also love that there wasn't really a victim. It wasn't about victim. It
No,
was
it wasn't.
about joy of
Right.
forward movement. And I just, that means so much to me, you know.
I love that you just said it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Oh
much.
my
It
gosh,
was
thank you so much.